Hello, children. Would you like to hear a story? Today's St. Stephen's Day. I hope you all had a lovely Christmas, and I'm sure Santa came and brought you lots of gifts and toys and all kinds of goodies because you're such good children. Well, I have a book here. It's called One Snowy Night by Nick Butterworth. That's the author, the person who wrote it. Do you think you'd like to hear it? I'm going to read it. I haven't read it before, so I hope it's a good one. Welcome to Percy's Park. Percy the park keeper works hard looking after the park and his animal friends who live there. But Percy still likes to find some time for some fun and games. And of course, in Percy's Park, there's always time for a story. We met in the park yesterday on Christmas Day, didn't we? We had good fun. There's lots of pages here I didn't realise. Here we go. Oh, look, this must be Percy who looks after the park. And you see the little bird there? That's little Robin, isn't it? The robins like to come around when they see you digging or out in the park. It's cold in the park in winter, but Percy the park keeper doesn't mind. He puts on his warm coat and his big scarf and wears 2 pairs of woolly socks inside his Wellington boots. Percy likes to be out in the fresh air. You like to be out in the fresh air too, don't you? And I know that Noah has a lovely pair of Wellington boots, and I'm sure Raeltine and Phelim do as well, as they're nice warm coats. In the middle of the park, there's a little hut. This is where Percy lives. When it gets too cold to be outside, Percy goes into his hut, where it's cozy and warm. Look, there's his wooden hut. It's a little bit like a shed in your garden, isn't it? Oh, look, the birds really love Percy, don't they? I'll bet he's really good to them. The animals who live in the park all know Percy's hut. Every day he shares his lunch with them. One winter's night, it was so cold it began to snow. Great big snowflakes fell past the window of Percy's hut. "Brrr," said Percy. "I think I'll need an extra blanket tonight." He made himself some hot cocoa and got ready for bed. Suddenly, Percy heard a tapping sound. There was somebody at the door. Now, who can that be at this time of night, thought Percy. He went to the door and looked out. Now, what? Oh, look. Who's at the door? Look, it's snowing. He's looking out. It snowed a lot, but the snow comes down very silently. Not like the wind. The wind is noisy. Oh, there on the step was a squirrel. It looked very cold and miserable. "I can't get to sleep, Percy," said the squirrel. "My bed is full of snow." "Oh dear," said Percy, "never mind. I've got plenty of room for 2. The squirrel snuggled down next to Percy and soon began to feel warm. Look, he's in bed with Percy. You bring your teddy to bed, don't you? Knock, knock. It was the door again. Now, who can that be, thought Percy. What do you think it is? Could it be a bird? Could it be another animal? Standing outside were 2 shivering rabbits. "It's freezing," said one rabbit. "We are frozen," said the other. "You poor things," said Percy. "Come in and warm up." The rabbit squeezed into the bed next to Percy and the squirrel. There wasn't much room. "Could you face the other way?" Percy asked the squirrel. "Your tail is tickling my nose." Knock, knock. "Oh dear," said Percy. "Now there's someone else at the door." He's not getting a chance to settle in, is he? Who can it be this time? Guess who it is? What's that? Yeah, you're right, it's Mr. Fox. It was a fox. He looked very cold and hungry. "Can I come in too?" he asked. Percy scratched his head and thought for a minute. "Well, if you promise to behave," he said. "I promise," said the fox, and he squeezed into bed next to all the other animals. Bump! Oops! The squirrel fell out. "Who did that?" asked the squirrel crossly. "Oh, I see a nice warm cozy pair of slippers there. Somebody would fit snug into those, wouldn't it?" Now he's on the ground, the squirrel, because the fox is the bigger one, isn't he? Fox is bigger than all the rest. So far. Oh, what else is going to come? Somebody else at the door, it appears. Knock, knock, knock. "Good gracious," said Percy. "It's the door again." This time, Percy had quite a surprise. There on the step were a badger, 2 ducks. See Badger? He's the one with the black and white stripes. And there's the 2 ducks, 1, 2. And what's this here? It looks like a hedgehog. And behind the hedgehog, what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. Are they 5 mice? "Good gracious," said Percy, "it's the door again." This time Percy had quite a surprise. There on the step were a badger, 2 ducks, a hedgehog, and a whole family of mice. They all wanted a bed for the night. Now who have we got here? Oh, look at the bed. There isn't room for one more thing. Poor old Percy and poor old Percy's bed. The animals pushed and shoved and rolled around the bed, but there was just not enough room for them all. Soon the bed covers ended up in a big, tight ball. Then thump! The covers rolled right off the bed and everybody fell onto the floor. "Oh dear," said Percy, "this won't do at all. My bed is just too small." Suddenly one of the mice pricked up his ears. "What's that noise?" he squeaked. Everyone listened hard. Now they could all hear it. There was a scratching, scraping sound. It seemed to be coming from underneath them. "There's something moving under the floor," whispered Percy. "Whatever can it be?" "I don't know. Got to turn the page and find out." The animals looked frightened and the mice all started to squeak at once. "Oh, oh, 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 oh. Oh dear, what can it be? It might be a monster with fierce claws and sharp teeth." The noise grew louder and louder. Then one of the floorboards began to move. It's coming up. "Look out! It's coming up through the floor." Suddenly there was a loud creak. "Creak! Help!" cried the animals, and they all ran to hide. They're all scared. Where are they going to hide? I wonder what it is. But Percy wasn't frightened. He started to chuckle. Then he laughed out loud. A small dark head was sticking up through the floorboards. Can you see the small dark head? Do you know what that animal is? Well, I think it's a mole, but I could be wrong. Let's find out. This isn't a monster, said Percy. It's a mole. I'm sorry to burst in like this, said the mole. I knocked on the door, but nobody heard me. Percy helped the mole up through the hole in the floor, sat him on his hot water bottle to get warm, and put the floorboard back. It's all right, everyone, he called. You can come out now. He's very kind, Percy is, isn't he? And he must be tired after all his work in the park. But he's very kind to the animals. But nobody moved. Nobody stirred. Nobody wanted to come out. The squirrel was tucked away in the pocket of Percy's dressing gown. That was a good place, wasn't it? The hedgehog was in his coat. The fox, the rabbits, the badger, and the ducks were all safely hidden away. The mice had even squeezed themselves into Percy's slippers. Everyone found a cosy bed. Well, I never, said Percy. You see the mice in his slippers? They're nice and cozy. Look at... Wow, everybody is every place. Can you see where the duck is? Oh, the duck is up here hiding in the pot plant. He must have flown up there. And the fox is on top of the wardrobe. How did he crawl up there? And look at the two rabbits are in the chest of drawers. And the badger, he's in the bottom chest of drawers. Now, Percy yawned and snuggled down in his own bed once again. That's better. Now I've got plenty of room, he said, and a little to spare. For a mole. He's only got the mole. The others all stayed in the places they'd found. That's the end. I think it's the end. Did you like that story? Now, there's a big map here, but I think it might be difficult for you to see it. Now, this is it. This is where all the animals were. Can you see? That's just a bigger one of all the animals. Can you spot the fox? The rabbits? The badger? And there's Percy with a big smile on his face. Did you like that story? None of that would have happened if it hadn't been snowing. They knew that Percy would be kind to them. It's always good to be kind, isn't it? Now, children, it's time for you to go to bed. And I hope you snuggle down and that nobody interrupts you. Bye-bye. See you later, alligator.